First of all, I would like to say that I can't help but recognize that your branding resonates very well. Liquid is blue, right? CA is blue. And perhaps that's why I'm here this morning. And blue basically, from my own sense of emotion, I see it as a representation of excellence, stability, so those key attributes. And just being here this morning at the launch of the Fusion Center basically demonstrate the pursuit of excellence that perhaps is built in blue, built in liquid. So thank you very much for inviting me this morning. I wasn't meant to be here also. I was supposed to be somewhere else, but I kept on weighing in terms of where to go. And when I cast the dice, it fell on a deal, partly because we got issues we have to resolve. But I think engaging in a forum like this helps us to find solutions faster. So thank you very much again, Deal, for inviting us. To maybe just pick up from, then the other point is, every time I see the word cloud, it takes me back to where it all started with me. Yeah? You know that, Ben Robert. Yeah, a few years ago, when we were undertaking one of the most mission-critical projects in this country, that was the elections of 2017. From nowhere, two terms defined that election: access to servers and cloud. Okay? And I remember somebody asking me about that very time, about what cloud was all about. And you're trying to explain about these virtual servers and all manner of things. So, and at that time, people actually believed it meant somewhere in the cloud, up in the sky. Okay, and some of you here, I bet actually, that believe that cloud is somewhere in the sky. But it also tells you the transformation that this sector has gone through in the last few years, when companies and organizations had dedicated infrastructure in terms of servers, and for you to be able to serve your customers well, you had to buy more and more of physical infrastructure. But then the enterprise, or the way we do our things, has been evolving over time. And so the innovation around cloud computing, I think to me is one of the most transformational, I would say, in the last few years. And I think it's going to have even a much greater impact in the coming years. So being here at this point in time, thinking about how to secure that space, how to ensure also that the cyberspace is secure, to me is very, very critical. It basically underscores the point that we are getting ready for the future in terms of the digital dividends that are likely to be gained out of this digital transformation, as Ombati mentioned earlier. Now, from a regulatory point of view, I would say that because of the evolution that has taken place in the last 10 years, if you look at the different aspects that have defined technology and its use, it means that as regulators also, we have to be sensitive of this development to remain relevant with the changes that are taking place. And one of the things we are paying attention to now, going into the future, actually, not even going in the future, as immediate concern here is that we must review our regulatory framework to take care of these new developments of cloud computing, of the new elements around cybersecurity. Just yesterday, part one, we had consensus with the Attorney General to just give us a 12-month window to allow us to review the existing legal framework so that we align the new framework to the changes that we already we're already experiencing in this particular space. Now, this 12-month window will allow us to also have conversations with yourselves as key stakeholders and key players. You know, we cannot regulate what we do not understand. We cannot regulate if we don't have a feel of what actually is happening in the industry. So the details and the content of the new regulatory framework will really be informed by the ideas that you guys have. And the main aim is to ensure that the industry continues to deliver value to ordinary citizens. Talking about delivering value to ordinary citizens, you know, government generally exists to manage public interest. The current government has placed the role of ICT at the center of its policy outcomes. When you talk about the digital superhighway, it means a lot, you know, to many people. But every time I look at that policy framework, which is, of course, is subject to interpretation, I see that each and every person has a role to play in this particular space. Even for us as regulators, we have to adjust, to align to the ideals that are being promoted by the new government in the digital superhighway. Of course, you've worked with us. We have been talking about the digital economy. I sometimes argue with my colleagues whether where we are now, we should be talking about the digital economy or we should be talking about a digital society. So, because of my orientation, I'm more inclined towards a digital society because that seems to me to be where we're all headed. And the digital society, because everything that defines who we are as humans is actually impacted by digital transformation that we're experiencing around the world. So, and is going to even have a greater impact on how we live and the way we live. So, I'm more inclined towards the digital society more than the digital economy because from an ordinary perspective, when you talk about digital economy, people talk about, I think about money, e-commerce and stuff like that. So if we have to build a true digital society, then the conversation around the digital superhighway must involve everyone, each one of us, and I see this opportunity there. And that's one of the reasons, actually, I felt like I needed to be here, so that together we can just confirm that our thoughts are actually aligned. And if there is anything that the industry wants the regulator to do, in as far as its relationship with government is concerned, I'd be more than willing to carry that forward, so that at this early stage of the new government, we can prioritize correctly in terms of how we build this digital superhighway. Now, a few key points around that digital superhighway. There is the connectivity, the development around infrastructure, 100,000 kilometers of cyber. What does that mean? It means a lot. It almost, for you to achieve that, it means that almost all government facilities in this country must be connected. And that requires significant investment. And I see the role of companies such as Liquid, being very obvious. So in your next conversation with the key players in the industry, the question you should be asking yourself is, how am I, as a company, going to contribute towards this 100,000 kilometers of fiber? But of course, there's another element towards that having fiber for the sake of it is not enough. We must be able to generate value. And how do you generate value? Last mile. And I'm glad the President mentioned the other day, the really last mile is being able to access the internet on your device. Up to 48% of Kenyans have no access to smart devices. So which means, even with the existing capacity of 96% of the population having the opportunity to access the internet, they're not able to actually do that. Why? Because they still survive on feature phones, 2G network. So we need to do more as an industry. The network builders, the infrastructure providers, the device providers, there is really, really great opportunity in this space that each of us must actually participate in. Now, the other bit I also like a lot about the trends and why this subject is important is that if government is actually going to digitize a lot of its business processes, up to 80%, as they've put it, that is going to be transformational. So imagine government services accessible to all citizens, and government services, I'm talking about 80% of that. That is going to be transformational. However, we cannot enjoy the seamlessness of government services on a digital platform without a secure cyberspace, without secure infrastructure. So I see, again, opportunity here for all of us to work together to ensure that the new agenda of transformation, digital transformation in government, must be supported by the critical infrastructure relating to the security and resilience of the systems that support that particular infrastructure. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's look into the future where ordinary citizens are able to enjoy healthcare services, education services, agricultural services, what else? E-commerce services in a secure and safe space that has been powered by ourselves. If I brought my mother in this space today, I don't think she'll understand what we're talking about and all this manner of things. But one thing she'll understand is that, yeah, yesterday you sent me money that enabled me to pay for my ticket to be in this particular event. She doesn't understand the technical logic behind that, but she's here. So it's my hope that this type of investment is going to translate to something meaningful to the day-to-day living of ordinary citizens in this country. So again, thank you very much for this, and I want to congratulate you for having taken the first step to set up this fusion center, not just, of course, for Kenya, but also the region at large. Thank you very much.
Loaded that question for me, but maybe I'll just pick on that, because I think I did at some point in the years ago download some file, and after I downloaded it, it kept popping up. My antivirus kept popping up to tell me that there was some sort of Trojan in the file, and it would neutralize that Trojan, and then another Trojan would come from within that Trojan. So it was a Trojan horse within a Trojan horse within a Trojan horse. Eventually, maybe I was traveling and didn't manage to get an update, and something came out that the antivirus company hadn't got a fix for, and lo and behold, it then told me it was wiping all the files in my computer and killing them off. To make matters even better, the backup system that our office had deployed for storing files was using an attached drive, an E drive, where you would copy your files onto a network drive. Because the ransomware was able to see that drive from my computer, from the operating system of my computer, it went and wiped everything on the backup drive as well. I did manage to get something from a few months before that, where they'd taken a tape backup of the E drive, but for me, I've been in this company 20 years, and I've got every file I've created in the whole 20 years, apart from a window of files I lost during that period. So it's been embarrassing, but at least I'm prepared to admit that I've been hacked, and it was entirely my own stupidity, I think. So anyway, it's very exciting today to see this. I think for me, I had a quick look this morning, but the exciting things for me are the fact that we have affordable services for SMEs. It's very important. We think as a big company, we think we spend a lot of money on cybersecurity. If you're a bank or something else, you think you're fine because I've put all my cybersecurity in. But SMEs are in our supply chain. So if we're taking services from an SME and they are hacked, then it can knock on and affect us. And I'll give an example of this. Winston mentioned that we have rising password and email fraud, and it hasn't been around. It's been around for a while. But in about 2014, we were doing some pretty big projects, building our data center just near here. And we used some mostly Kenyan SMEs for doing these things, even though there were large contracts. And one of them, they were buying a transformer from France, and they were installing it from us. And we paid them the money for the transformer, the down payment, and they were to send that to the supplier in Europe to get this transformer. It was around about $1 million, right? It wasn't a small sum of money, even though they were a small business. And what happened? Somebody had hacked into their email system and was sitting there waiting to look at their emails. And when they got an invoice from a European company saying, "Give me $1 million for this transformer," they deleted that email. They changed the bank account details on the document. They sent them another email. And then they paid that money over to a wrong bank account in Europe, and luckily, even though it was a family business, the family were able to support the business and find the funds to go and buy another transformer, but it cost them dear, that could have collapsed that company. That company could have gone into bankruptcy, and we would have lost our $1 million, right? So we think that just by us being safe is enough, but it's not. We have to ensure that our supply chain has these checks and balances. So the fact that we're bringing affordable services for SMEs is great, and it means that us as people who are consuming IT services from SMEs or selling to our customers, we need to make this available to them, but also ensure that they are secure. SMEs ultimately are the backbone of the economy in this country, and growing SMEs will become the large tech companies, the large IT companies, like 7Seas Technologies or others that we see have grown in Kenya. I'm also very excited by the fact that we are also supporting mission-critical operations. And I saw one of our customers there. Maybe I won't name them by name, but they are one of the largest wind farms in Africa and supplying about a third of Kenya's electricity. And they're using the Cybersecurity Fusion Center to monitor their servers and all of their critical devices. Obviously, if somebody hacks into a network of somebody who's supplying one third of Kenya's electricity, it could be very critical for the nation. So we have a lot of responsibility, but we are very pleased to be supporting and providing that kind of level of importance of security to our blue chip customers. I would also want to talk about the skills. Something I've been very busy doing in my job as Chief of Innovation and Technology for the group is working on helping people across the whole continent with the technical skills. And I'm particularly proud to see the young man you saw presenting this morning. He's not so young these days, Richard Mathura, but I met him some years ago in Tanzania. He seemed like a smart young man to me then, and we met for a mutual friend. And I hired him and I gave him a job because he seemed like a good techie. And then after about 2 years, he told me, "Ben, I feel I need to grow some new skills, and I'm going to leave and go to somewhere else that's going to grow my technical skills." I said, "Good luck, young man." Anyway, he came back 2 years later and said, "I've been in this other company, I've grown some good technical skills, and Ben, I'd like to come back." And I hired him back in a flash, knowing that he was somebody who would be building his skills and rebuilding his skills, and now he's our head of cloud and cybersecurity. So I'm very proud of him. So one thing about this Fusion Center as well is combining an operations center for cloud as well as a operations center for cybersecurity. We have backup through a slightly bigger one in South Africa, and some of our partners. We have 24-hour, 24/7 coverage, 365 days a year. So if they're not on shift in the one here, there'll be somebody else in another cybersecurity fusion center covering them, and vice versa. They can cover the customers in South Africa. I see on their screens they have South African customers there. So it's really important that we localize the skills, grow, use the best practices. We do have international partners in this, and I would mention that some of our partners include Ixitium, who are one of our vendor partners, but also ITC Secure, who are a British company, and they are part of a group called C5 Capital, who recently invested into Liquid Telecom. They're a UK-based venture capital fund, but they invested $50 million into Liquid Telecom Group, and also their company ICC Secure is providing us services here. Very important to have such partners, and overall I'm going to pass apologies. We were expecting the British UK High Commissioner, Jane Marriott, this morning, but for operational reasons she's not been able to make it. She just got back from UK last night very late and was delayed. But she sends on, from the UK. She's obviously very excited to hear of UK companies partnering and also investing into Liquid Telecom. The British government, through BII, British International Investments, has also invested $220 million into Liquid. So, Jane passes her apologies, but she's very excited to hear about these collaborations between the United Kingdom and Liquid Telecom Kenya. So I think I'll probably, as I introduce the next speaker, I'll just mention other partners we have here today. We have the Communications Authority, who are our sector regulator, and they are looking at all areas of regulation around the services that Liquid Telecom provides. But they're also in the space of cybersecurity. They're providing the KE CERT, which is a national cyber incident response center, which I expect that we'll be collaborating with closely in terms of alerting them and vice versa about any alerts we see and alerts they see. And we can feed that back onto our customers at efficient speed, those that are having the services. So thank you, DG, for coming to open today. And I also
much for making the time to actually be with us today. It's great to see so many familiar faces, and it's also great actually to launch the Cybersecurity Fusion Center today at Liquid Intelligent Technologies Kenya. As you all know, this actually place where we are is actually part of the history of ICT in Kenya. This is where Kenya Data Networks was born almost 17 years ago. The company which laid actually the first fiber network in Kenya and in East Africa, actually propelling Kenya and the region to be a center and a beacon for technology in Africa. And today, with this launch of Liquid Intelligent Technologies Cyber Fusion Center, we are again investing ahead of the curve and making sure that we are offering services to our customers which relate to their requirements and, as Richard showed us, their challenges which they are facing. Today, from the latest report and research that we have seen, over 90% of businesses in Kenya and on the continent do not have adequate cybersecurity protection for their business. We hear every day of very large sums of money being actually either stolen from businesses or extracted from businesses through ransomware. This large amounts or this exposure actually threatens even the fabric of the economy, because these businesses now are weakened and cannot compete properly in the sector. We have also heard from the new government in Kenya a very bold and exciting vision of creating a digital superhighway in the country for economic development. And we actually applaud this vision, and through the investment in the Cybersecurity Fusion Center, we want to play a small part in actually securing this digital highway and making it resilient and making it fit for purpose for businesses, for our citizens, for economic development for the country. So we are extremely excited that we can bring this state-of-the-art technology to the market. As Richard and Winston have mentioned, this offering is actually quite complete to prevent, detect, and secure your environment. The service can actually cater for a full range of requirement, from large enterprises to small SMEs, in terms of budget and in terms of requirement. And we're extremely excited to actually to put Kenya on the map, so to speak, after South Africa by having this state-of-the-art center available to our customers. So thank you very much again for coming today and for your interest in this new offering and for your business with us. We really appreciate your support, and we want to tell you that Liquid Intelligent Technologies is there to assist and play its part in to secure your business and to secure the digital highway infrastructure in Kenya. Asanteni sana, thank you.
So we're looking at things like firewall, antivirus solutions, DDoS services. All this we're able to provide, and then we go up the value chain to manage security services. And the SOC here comes in to play a key role, because you cannot secure what you cannot see. The Security Operations Center comes in to give the visibility. So we're able to monitor and give you proactive information about your cyber investments. And then on top of that, we've got people. We've got very experienced individuals where we bring you technical support. And that is how we're able to cover from people, process, and technologies. Some reasons why we have gone ahead and built these security solutions. So we have conducted research. We have been able to talk to the market. We have been able to know what is happening in the market. And what we are seeing here are the key concerns around our key markets. So looking at South Africa, Kenya, and Zambia. And the biggest concern, and this is as of 2022, is basically hacking. We've been speaking to businesses. So 67% of businesses in South Africa are concerned about hacking, or people hacking into their infrastructure, into their data assets, and basically exposing this information. 72% of businesses in Kenya are worried about hacking. And then we see 62% of businesses across Zambia still worried about hacking. So why this is important is, if you do not know, or if you do not understand your ICT investment, your ICT infrastructure, or your cyber assets, then you're not able to secure these. So to avoid or to mitigate the impact of hacking, or to mitigate the hacking, then we come in and provide the monitoring services. So we're able to know where your assets are, we're able to pick them, we're able to monitor and secure them. Another concern, and this is in comparison, if you look at 2021 and 2022, this has been shifting. So we are seeing a growth in concern. Basically, if you look at organizations getting concerned about hacking, this has grown between 2021 and 2022. Same thing for Zambia, Kenya, and South Africa. So these are some of the drivers that have taken us through this journey. These are some of the reasons. So we are speaking, we are connected to the market, and we have built these products and solutions capabilities based on the market demands, market requirements, and we are here to support this as Liquid Intelligent Technologies. Thank you very much, and hand over to Winston.
Developments from Liquid Intelligence Technologies, which is within the strategies that we just launched. DG, I'm sure you are aware that we launched the National Cybersecurity Strategy that at least provides a high-level policy direction on some of the key implementations towards appreciating a safe and resilient use of ICTs within the Republic of Kenya. It's important to note that globally, nation states are trying to organize themselves to at least protect these new borders that we call virtual borders of ICTs. A number of us may be a bit not very sure how this can be protected, but I believe it calls for all of us, from the devices that we use, to the networks that we are implementing, from the various ISPs and technology providers, to the nation, government systems, both public and private. And that kind of consortium is the basis why we are here, to support some of these initiatives from Liquid Intelligence and other entities, so that we can work together to perceive the threat that has been very clearly defined, from ransomware to hacking to stealing of information and many others. and even disruption of some of our critical information infrastructures, including our way of life. So for me, I would want to applaud Liquid Intelligence Technologies for this move. Why? Because our strategy defines that the first aspect to be able to have any capabilities to put governance structures. And governance structures is one of the items that we've seen a Cybersecurity Fusion Center to be able to provide some level of monitoring, provide some level of capacity in terms of bringing teams together, and allowing people who are maybe their clients to be able to have a framework of reporting some of the issues they are experiencing, so that at first sight they can be responded to, and if not, they can be translated to either the sector SAT, and maybe at the national level we are able to appreciate the threat and be able to have policies and actions towards managing them. So I think that is a very good move, which we must all appreciate, and I want us to applaud this move. Importantly also, we are aware that the challenge is wider. We are talking of capacity. Capacity is an issue to all of us. So we are looking at collaborating with Liquid Intelligence and other entities, both public and private, to be able to increase our capacity and awareness. Capacity here, we are talking of people who should be able to predict, to do risk assessment, to do penetration testing, to be able to give us some of the factual indicators of threats, so that we can be able to put mitigations to block, deny any such disruptions, whether from without or within. Remember, we are dealing with individuals, we are dealing with states and non-state actors in this kind of environment. It's the people that we are protecting against and for. So having said that, there is also another very important aspect of collaboration. We are looking forward to having an interface with Liquid Intelligence Technologies to have a framework of sharing information. Because some of the threats that you are actually observing or responding to could likely have a national impact. It could be an individual, could be organizational, but at the end of the day, we have a responsibility to ensure that this country is at any one given time safe, and in case of any disruption, we are able to respond and be able to recover as quickly as possible. This requires collaboration to be able to come up with frameworks, such as the critical information protection frameworks, which are, of course, internationally best practice and can be implemented within our ecosystem to protect ourselves against any such disruptions. So I'm actually looking forward for that, and of course, I'm happy here with DG Ezra Chiroba. We've worked very closely at the committee level, and for your information, the committee is very ready to support initiatives, to support working together with Kenyans, support working together with entities within this ecosystem, to manage the aspects of licensing such that those licenses protect whatever that is being implemented within this ecosystem to protect our economy and improve our digital transformation. I think with those few remarks, I wouldn't want to have much. I'm normally very short. So I would want to take this opportunity to invite...
I appreciate your time. So today, as Liquid Intelligence Technologies, we have launched our first Cybersecurity Fusion Center in Kenya. A Cybersecurity Fusion Center is an environment that helps us provide cybersecurity services to our customers, from the large enterprises to the small SMEs. This environment has 24/7, 365 days per year capability to detect, prevent, and address cybersecurity issues which can compromise the environment of our customers. It is our second investment, such investment in the continent, after the launch of our Cybersecurity Fusion Center in South Africa a couple of months ago. And it's a testament to the resolve and dedication that Liquid has to continue investing to meet customer requirement, not only for its own enterprise and SME customers, but also to make sure that the digital superhighway, which the Kenyan government has put at the center of its policy for economic development, is secured so that citizens across Kenya can access services online through their mobile, through their laptop, in a very secure and safe way. I don't know whether, Richard, do you want to add something?